Have you ever felt the sting of a harsh word like ice against your skin in the dead of winter? In the frantic pulse of today's world, criticism ricochets through our homes, our screens, and our consciences. We live in an era saturated with judgment. The rapid-fire comments on social media, the endless stream of dissatisfied customers, the self-reproach that coils tighter in our minds, and yet beneath this noise lies a fundamental truth that Dale Carnegie revealed over a century ago. The human heart recoils from condemnation. It seeks instead the warmth of understanding, the spark of appreciation, the gentle tug of connection. Imagine a garden where every word of criticism is a frost that kills the tender shoots of trust. Now imagine nourishing that same soil with genuine appreciation. Each kind thought a drop of rain that coaxes blossoms from buried dreams. Carnegie insisted that criticism is dangerous because it wounds a person's precious pride, hurts their sense of importance, and arouses resentment. This principle, don't criticize, condemn, or complain, is not mere etiquette. It is the first key to unlocking deeper relationships, the foundation for leadership that inspires rather than intimidates. Consider Abraham Lincoln, a man forged by personal tragedy in the furnace of public scrutiny. Even his fiercest critics could find no indelible flaw in his character. For when confronted with attacks, Lincoln often said, "If I were to try to please all, I would not please any." He absorbed reproach without returning fire, choosing restraint over retaliation. In that choice, he forged alliances powerful enough to heal a fractured nation. This is not distant history. It is a living lesson. In each moment we choose silence over snark. We echo Lincoln's courage and shape our own legacy. Pause for a moment. Listen to the thrum of your own internal dialogue. How many times have you caught yourself dwelling on what someone did wrong? Or perhaps you delivered a critique you later regretted, watching the light drain from another's eyes. Carnegie would gently remind us that the person who can smile when everyone else is frowning, who can find the good amid flaws, holds a subtle dominion over the hearts of people, because deep down every individual yearns to feel valued, to know that their efforts matter. Feel the weight of that yearning. Picture the faces of people in your life, your spouse, your colleague, your child, each carrying a fragile sense of self-worth. Like a glass heart, a careless word can crack that vessel. A kind remark can restore it. When you embrace Carnegie's first principle, you become not just a communicator but a healer. You plant seeds of trust. I believe in you, I see your effort, I honor your journey, and in return you receive loyalty, enthusiasm, collaboration, connections that outlast the hollow victories won by criticism. Yet the path of non-criticism is not a call for blind acceptance. It demands courage and authenticity. True appreciation is not flattery. It is a fearless recognition of another's strengths. It sees beyond superficial behavior to the human being beneath. Carnegie tells of Charles Schwab, who doubled his steel plant's output simply by praising workers for jobs well done. Rather than castigating them for mistakes, Schwab wielded encouragement like a lantern in a mine, illuminating potential hidden in the dark. In that light, productivity soared, not through fear but through inspired effort. Now imagine your daily conversations as threads weaving an unbreakable tapestry. Each strand of praise strengthens the fabric, while each fray of criticism threatens to unravel it. When you practice sincere appreciation, thank you for your perseverance. I admire how you handled that challenge. Your vision inspires me. You reinforce bonds. You transform mere acquaintances into allies, colleagues into confidants, fleeting interactions into lasting rapport. Carnegie's principle teaches us that influence begins not with argument but with affection. Walk with me through a modern landscape. The open plan office humming with restless energy, the buzzing smartphone in your pocket, the scrolling river of notifications. Everywhere, opinions clash, patience frays, resentment simmers. And yet there is a radical alternative. To listen first, to seek understanding rather than to score points. When you resist the urge to correct or condemn, you free others to speak honestly, to open doors within themselves they never knew existed. In that space of empathy, creativity, and collaboration flourish. Think of the last time someone truly heard you, felt your frustration, nodded at your hopes, acknowledged your humanity. That simple act felt like a salve, didn't it? Carnegie insists that genuine listening is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. by silencing the inner critic and leaning into curiosity. Help me understand your perspective. Tell me more about your challenges. You dissolve barriers built by arrogance and assumption. You discover common ground where you once saw only conflict. And so we arrive at a choice: to perpetuate the cycle of criticism, or to break it with compassionate action, to judge, or to journey alongside, to amplify faults or to celebrate potential. In embracing Carnegie's first principle, stop criticizing, start connecting, we choose the harder, nobler path. It is a path that demands vigilance over our words, intention behind our praise, and humility in our judgment. And it is a path that, once taken, transforms not only our relationships, but the very trajectory of our lives. Feel now the call of something greater, a movement toward human connection, a revolution waged not with weapons of destruction, but with words of affirmation. In this movement, every interaction is an opportunity to build trust, to kindle hope, to forge unity. Every act of appreciation is a beacon guiding us away from the cold shores of condemnation and toward the warm harbor of mutual respect. Let this first principle echo in your mind as you step into the world. Each person you meet carries a story you cannot fully know, a struggle unseen, a dream to be honored. When you withhold judgment and offer genuine praise, you speak directly to their hidden compass, inspiring them to navigate toward their best self. And in that inspiration, you gain far more than compliance. You awaken allies, collaborators, friends. Now breathe deeply. Feel the transformation already unfolding within you. The power to connect, to uplift, to transform is not found in pointing out what's wrong. It is found in recognizing what's right. Stop criticizing. Start connecting, and watch as your world shifts from a battlefield of blame to a vibrant tapestry of human possibility. And so, having banished the frost of criticism from your interactions, you stand at the threshold of a richer human landscape, one sculpted by genuine interest and authentic appreciation. This is where the magic truly begins, when you choose to become a curator of other people's stories, to unearth the gems hidden in their experience. Dale Carnegie taught that the deepest craving of the human heart is the desire to feel important, and the surest way to make someone feel that way is to show sincere curiosity about their life. Envision yourself stepping into a dimly lit gallery, each portrait on the wall representing a person you know or will soon meet. Instead of rushing past, you pause. You lean in, study the brush strokes, their hopes, their fears, their triumphs painted in strokes both bold and subtle. You ask questions that matter. What inspired you to pursue that dream? How did it feel when you overcame that obstacle? With each inquiry, the portrait brightens. Brushstrokes that once lay muted burst into color. You are no longer a critic, but a fellow traveler, bearing witness to the human saga. Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate who inspired Dale Carnegie's own journey, once hosted long evenings of conversation around his mahogany table. He didn't lecture, he listened. He asked questions that coaxed brilliant ideas from tired minds. In doing so, he forged alliances so strong that his business empire became not just a collection of factories, but a network of dedicated collaborators. When you show genuine interest, you spark the flames of passion in others, and that heat will forge bonds far stronger than any forced compliance born of fear. And then there is the simple, profound power of remembering a person's name. Carnegie declared that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Picture the effect when you meet someone, and days or months later, greet them by name, as though their identity has been woven into your own story. Their eyes will light up with recognition and validation. It is a small gesture, yet its resonance echoes through every fiber of connection. In that moment, you have said without words, you matter. Your presence is seen. You belong. Let us not forget the art of the smile. Behind each curve of the lips lies the promise of warmth and acceptance. Theodore Roosevelt, the Rough Rider who tamed the Wild West and the White House alike, understood this well. When he greeted the townsfolk of the American frontier, his bright grin softened even the toughest faces. He didn't smile because life was easy. He smiled because he chose to light the darkness around him. A genuine smile is your silent proclamation. I welcome you. I appreciate you. And in that welcome, walls crumble, defenses dissipate, and minds open. But connection is not passive. It is an active pursuit of the other's highest good. Carnegie extolled the virtue of encouragement as the truest form of leadership. Imagine a blacksmith in an old workshop, hammer in hand. Each strike against the red-hot steel is guided by precise words of praise. Steady now, you're stronger than you know. Bend, don't break. The metal yields, shaped into something durable and magnificent. So too, with people, your encouragement tempers their resolve and shapes their potential. When you inspire confidence instead of casting doubt, you lead through empowerment rather than authority. And what of criticism dripping beneath the guise of helpful feedback? Carnegie warned against this false kindness, the complaint masquerading as advice. Instead, he urged us to frame guidance within a context of compassion. I know how hard that task can be. Here's what worked for me when I faced something similar. You acknowledge the struggle before offering your insight. You position yourself not as a judge on a high pedestal, but as a companion who has walked a similar road. Yet even the most empathetic among us must navigate moments of true conflict. In those times, Carnegie recommended a subtle pivot. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Picture a courtroom where both sides lower their weapons and lean forward, listening. Each word of genuine inquiry diffuses tension. Each gesture of respect builds a bridge. By refusing to condemn, you invite dialogue. By inviting dialogue, you open the possibility of resolution, collaboration, even friendship, where there was once enmity. As you internalize these practices, curiosity, name remembrance, smiling encouragement, compassionate guidance, a transformation stirs within you. You move from a posture of judgment to a posture of partnership. You discover that influence is not a battle to be won, but a dance to be shared. The rhythm of this dance is set by your willingness to give credit, to shine light on others, to step off the stage of criticism and join the choir of connected hearts. Now take a moment to feel the power of this shift. Sense how your own spirit lightens when you let go of the heavy cloak of complaint and slip into the lighter garment of praise. Imagine the look in someone's eyes as they realize you care more about their humanity than their mistakes. Hear the subtle music that begins to play in every conversation. A harmony composed of respect, empathy, and genuine interest. From here, the world unfolds in brilliance you never saw before. Boardrooms become forums for collaboration rather than arenas of blame. Friendships deepen as partners feel truly valued. Families flourish under the gentle guide of appreciation, where every success, no matter how small, is celebrated. Cities, nations, perhaps even our global community, inch closer to understanding when individuals choose connection over condemnation. And so you carry forward Carnegie's first principle not as a rule etched in stone, but as a living mantra reverberating through every interaction. Stop criticizing. Start connecting. Let this truth become the melody you hum in your heart, the lens through which you view each person you meet, the torch that illuminates your path to meaningful influence. In this way, you honor not only Dale Carnegie's legacy, but the timeless, sacred promise of human connection itself. In every corner of your life, whether you're drafting an email to a client, moderating a heated debate online, or guiding a bright-eyed intern through their first project, you hold in your hands a power far greater than that of any correction or complaint. You have the power to disarm hostility with a single phrase of understanding, to transform frustration into focus with a word of genuine interest. Picture yourself at your keyboard. The impulse to fire off a scolding response pulses in your fingertips. Instead, your eyes scan the message again, seeking the human behind the text. You pause, breathe, and write. Thank you for sharing your perspective. Can you tell me more about what led you to this point? That moment of intentional empathy ripples outward, silent, yet seismic. Consider the battlefield of modern collaboration. Remote teams scattered across time zones, cultural divides as wide as continents, communication reduced to instant messages and video calls. Here, the risk of misinterpretation is omnipresent. Tone becomes a fragile currency. But when you anchor every exchange in Carnegie's first principle, you create an oasis of trust. You choose phrases that build rather than break. I appreciate your effort here. Help me understand what challenges you're facing. Your insight matters to our success. Each affirmation closes the gap between screen and soul, forging bonds strong enough to weather any technical glitch or deadline storm. Let us revisit Theodore Roosevelt once more, not as the Rough Rider atop San Juan Hill, but as the president who embraced criticism with a twinkle in his eye. When confronted with fierce opponents in Congress, Roosevelt didn't condemn them. He complimented their patriotism. He said, "Those gentlemen love their country as much as I do, even though we see the path differently." In that moment, he disarmed adversaries and turned the halls of power into venues of possibility. You too can borrow this tact. When disagreements flare, search for the spark of shared value, national pride, client success, students' growth, and fan it into a flame that outshines any ember of discord. Now step into a marketplace of ideas where every voice clamors for attention. How do you make yours not the loudest but the most compelling? Not by tearing others down, but by lifting them up. When you introduce your own proposal, begin by acknowledging what you admire in what came before. I've seen how passionately you've championed this initiative, and it's inspired me to refine it further. You plant the seed of collaboration in fertile ground, inviting others to join rather than contest. This is the hallmark of ethical influence, a subtle art that averts resistance and invites cooperation. And let us not overlook the tender sphere of family and friendship. Imagine returning home after a long day, shoulders heavy with the burdens of performance and expectation. A loved one asks how your day was, and the damning impulse to unload frustration wells up. Yet you remember Carnegie's wisdom. Criticism corrodes the very intimacy you see. So instead you choose understanding. It's been challenging, but I'm grateful for how supportive you've been. Can we sit together and share a quiet moment? In that instant, you transform impatience into intimacy, stress into solace. In the realm of self-talk, the principle echoes just as loudly. How often do you condemn yourself for mistakes, replaying every misstep like a broken record? Carnegie reminds us that the first audience for this principle is within. You must learn to speak to yourself with the same compassion you afford others. When your inner critic snarls, pause and ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? You replace toxic self-reproach with constructive curiosity, and you unlock reservoirs of resilience you never knew you had. History offers another beacon. Helen Keller, blind, deaf, yet radiant with the capacity to connect. She believed that sympathy begins in listening, then grows into shared understanding. Though she faced a world that misunderstood her, she found kindred spirits who refused to define her by her limitation. In turn, she redefined what was possible, forging bonds that carried her voice across lecture halls worldwide. Her life exemplifies how non-judgmental listening and unwavering appreciation ignite the human spirit, regardless of circumstance. But what about the most testing moments, when someone's actions threaten your goals, or when the stakes are sky high? Carnegie would counsel, uphold your standards without wounding pride. He shared the tale of a factory manager who confronted a tardy worker. Instead of reprimand, he said, I've noticed your talent and dedication. I count on you when things are critical. Is there something I can do to help you arrive on time? The worker, touched by trust rather than insult, altered his habits overnight. This is the transformative power of combining high expectations with genuine respect. Let's bring this to life. In a modern scenario, you're leading a product launch, and one team member's delays threaten the timeline. You could issue a curt message, your lag is unacceptable. Or you could say, I know how committed you are to excellence. We need your expertise to hit our milestone. What obstacles are you facing? And how can I support you? You become not a judge but a partner. You convert resistance into resourcefulness, stress into shared responsibility. Now imagine the world scaled by this principle, a global marketplace of collaboration, where every leader practices non-judgmental appreciation, where schools teach the art of understanding before debate, where communities grow through encouragement rather than condemnation. Problems once deemed intractable, cultural divides, political polarization, social fragmentation, start to yield under the simple force of compassion. We rediscover our common humanity and harness it as unstoppable leverage for progress. Finally, let the essence of Carnegie's first principle settle into your bones. Carry it into every sunrise email, every tentative handshake, every internal reckoning with self-doubt. Recognize that this practice is not a one-time act, but a lifelong discipline, an ongoing choice to see the best in others, to amplify potential, to build bridges across every chasm of misunderstanding. Listen now to the quiet revolution stirring within you. Each time you resist the urge to criticize, each time you choose connection over condemnation, you add your voice to a symphony of positive influence, composed over more than a century by those who discovered that the path to true leadership, to genuine influence, to lasting peace of mind, begins with one simple, profound choice. Stop criticizing, start connecting. And as you internalize this truth, a new horizon appears on the cusp of every conversation, a horizon painted not in the gray of condemnation, but in the vibrant hues of possibility. When you wake tomorrow, before your feet even touch the floor, set your intention. Today I will withhold criticism and offer connection. Let that mantra guide your words at breakfast, shape your tone in that first work meeting, and color the way you respond to every unexpected challenge. Picture yourself offering a passenger seat to a stranger's story on your commute, reading each anecdote with a nod of genuine interest, rather than a judgmental glance at your watch. Feel the ease that comes when you replace "you did this wrong" with "help me understand how we can make this better." Whether you're mentoring a teammate or negotiating with a vendor, sense the warmth in your own chest as you surprise your partner by thanking them for the small things, filling the coffee pot, folding the laundry, because Carnegie knew that appreciation is the oxygen of relationship. When anxiety creeps in about deadlines, about perfection, about what others might think, remember that criticism, even of yourself, is a weight that drags you into self-doubt. Instead, turn inward with compassion. Acknowledge the fear, then ask, what one step can I take right now to move forward? You will discover that this shift from reproach to curiosity breeds confidence more powerful than any pep talk. And when you encounter true conflict, an argument with a friend, a heated client exchange, a cultural impasse, resist the instinct to pile on complaints. Instead, stand firm in your values and lead with empathy. I respect your view. Let's find the point where our shared goals meet. From that shared space, solutions blossom that neither criticism nor capitulation could ever yield. Over time, you will witness a transformation in the simplest of places. The barista who once forgot your name now greets you with a smile, because you took the moment to ask about their day. The colleague who bristled at feedback becomes your collaborator, because you first acknowledged their effort. Even the algorithmic noise of social media becomes a platform for genuine exchange when you pause to respond with thoughtful questions rather than rapid-fire disparagement. And in the grand sweep of your life's work, your career, your passions, your legacy, this first principle becomes the cornerstone of your influence. People will follow you not out of fear or obligation, but out of respect and affection. Doors will open, ideas will flow, and communities will rally, not because you demanded it, but because you created an environment where every individual feels seen, heard, and valued. So now take a breath and feel the world waiting. The simplest act, choosing to hold back a criticism, choosing instead to connect, can spark revolutions in hearts and industries alike. This is your invitation to lead with compassion, to speak with intention, and to build bridges in every realm of your life. Carry this principle into tomorrow's sunrise, into every handshake and headline, into each quiet moment before sleep. And remember, the greatest power you possess is the power to choose connection over condemnation. Let that choice be your legacy. Stop criticizing, start connecting, and watch how your life and the lives of those around you will flourish in ways you never imagined. Now imagine that each word of encouragement you speak sends ripples across the surface of someone else's life, ripples that travel farther than you can see. A sincere thank you for your insight at the morning stand-up. A genuine "I appreciate how you handled that call" in a quick Slack message. A heartfelt "your dedication makes all the difference" whispered to a family member before bed. These small acts of connection spread outward, awakening hope in others and inspiring them to pay the same kindness forward. In this way, your practice of non-criticism becomes a catalyst for a movement, one person's upliftment sparking another's, until the entire community hums with the energy of mutual respect. By weaving this principle into your daily habits, you transform each moment, every email, every meeting, every casual exchange into an opportunity to build trust. Before offering input, ask yourself, how can I frame this message in a way that honors the other person's effort? When you catch yourself on the brink of complaint, pause. Choose instead to ask a question that reveals your interest. What challenges did you encounter here? Such questions signal that you value people not merely for what they produce, but for who they are. Over time, this repeated choice becomes second nature, and the habit of appreciation reshapes your mental wiring, guiding you away from negativity and toward genuine curiosity. In the context of organizations, even those structured around tight deadlines and high stakes, Carnegie's first principle is nothing less than a secret ingredient for sustainable success. Picture an executive team that begins each strategy session by acknowledging recent achievements before dissecting setbacks. Imagine a customer support department where agents open calls with empathy rather than scripted apology. Visualize a product development cycle, fueled by the mantra, first, highlight what's working, Then explore where we can improve. By institutionalizing appreciation, you not only foster higher morale and creativity, but also create an environment where honest feedback is welcomed, because people trust that their value will be recognized before any critique is offered. And on a larger scale, across cultures, industries, and generations, the simple choice to stop criticizing can bridge divides that no policy or procedure can. In a boardroom, when leaders choose to begin with respect for differing viewpoints, they open channels of collaboration rather than confrontation. In neighborhoods, when neighbors greet one another with genuine warmth instead of suspicion, they build safer, more vibrant community. Even globally, when nations engage in dialogue grounded in mutual appreciation for shared aspirations, peace, prosperity, human dignity, they lay the groundwork for lasting harmony rather than perpetual conflict. This is the far-reaching power of Carnegie's first principle. It plants seeds of trust wherever it takes root. Consider the legacy you will leave when your life is measured not by how sharply you criticized, but by how deeply you connect. Think of the individuals whose paths you will alter. The colleague who finds renewed confidence because you acknowledge their unique talents, the child who learns the value of encouragement because you refuse to scold, the friend who discovers hope because you chose understanding over complaint. Each of these lives becomes part of your story, a testament to the transformative force of empathy. And long after you speak your last word in any meeting or conversation, the ripples of your kindness continue to unfold in ways you may never witness. As you move forward in this journey, carry with you a practical ritual. At the end of each day, reflect on 3 moments when you chose connection over criticism. Write them down. Notice how your awareness grows and how your relationships deepen. Let this practice become your compass, guiding you back whenever old habits threaten to resurface. Over weeks and months, you will find that the world responds to you in kind, doors open more readily, collaborations flourish, and your own sense of purpose expands. And so with each sunrise, renew your commitment to this simple yet profound choice to stop criticizing and start connecting. In doing so, you not only honor the wisdom of Dale Carnegie, but awaken the best in yourself and everyone you encounter. And that, more than any accolade or achievement, is the truest measure of a life well lived. When you slip this principle into the very fabric of your being, you begin to see the world through different eyes, a lens polished by compassion rather than clouded by critique. You notice the barista fumbling with the new espresso machine, and instead of muttering impatience, you offer a nod and a soft "take your time, I'm excited to taste what you create today." You encounter the colleague whose presentation falls short, and rather than rolling your eyes, you say, "I appreciate the effort you put into those charts. Your passion shows. Let's explore together how to make the data shine even brighter." In these moments, you become the very embodiment of Carnegie's first principle, a beacon of encouragement in a sea of cynicism. Remember John D. Rockefeller, whose endless pursuit of efficiency could easily have justified harsh management, yet he understood that the human spirit thrives on recognition. He famously sent personal notes of gratitude to railroad executives, whose deft handling of crude oil shipments kept his enterprise flourishing. These weren't perfunctory memos, they were carefully crafted letters that acknowledged specific actions and their impact. By doing so, Rockefeller not only secured reliable partners but also cultivated enduring loyalty, a testament to the simple fact that appreciation pays dividends far greater than any reprimand. As this approach becomes second nature, you'll find yourself weaving it into every dimension of your life. In the classroom, you'll witness students blossom when their efforts are met with sincere praise, rather than pointed criticism. Teachers who begin by celebrating curiosity before addressing mistakes inspire a lifelong love of learning. In healthcare, nurses who acknowledge a patient's resilience before explaining procedures build trust so profound that recovery itself seems more attainable. And in public service, leaders who salute the dedication of first responders before debating policy sow the seeds of civic unity. Yet the greatest transformation may occur within your own mental landscape. Each time you catch the inner voice poised to criticize yourself, "You should have done better. Why did you mess that up?" You pause and reframe. What lesson can I carry forward? How can I honor my progress, however small? Over time, you cultivate a tender self-regard that doesn't excuse complacency but banishes self-loathing. You become your own champion, guiding yourself with the same empathy you extend to others, and thereby unlocking reserves of creativity and resilience you never knew resided within. Consider the story of Eleanor Roosevelt, who rose from the shadow of her husband's presidency to become an advocate for human rights across the globe. When critics pounced on her every misstep, she refused to respond with bitterness. Instead, she said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." She chose to interpret condemnation as an opportunity to reinforce her convictions, to redouble her efforts on behalf of the disenfranchised. By refusing to internalize negativity, she demonstrated that non-criticism towards self and others can become a fulcrum for social change. And then there is the modern crucible, the digital realm, where every misstep, every misunderstood comment, can explode into a chorus of condemnation. Here, Carnegie's first principle is your shield and your sword. When a post goes awry, resist the urge to respond defensively or to fire back at detractors. Instead, lead with empathy. I appreciate your perspective. I didn't realize how that might Can we explore what solutions you envision? Rather than fueling the flames of outrage, you become an agent of calm, steering the conversation toward constructive dialogue. In doing so, you model the kind of digital citizenship our world desperately needs, a culture of respectful inquiry and shared growth. On a societal level, imagine if every public figure embraced this approach. What if policymakers began each debate by highlighting the achievements of their counterparts? What if journalists preemptively acknowledged the worthiness of opposing viewpoints before crafting their headlines? What if each of us, as citizens, practiced this principle in our community forums and neighborhood gatherings? The collective energy once spent on tearing down would be redirected toward building up, and the sum total of human endeavor would rise to unprecedented heights. But let us return to the microcosm of our own lives, to the simple ritual that anchors this practice in reality. Each evening, find 2 minutes to reflect and record. One moment when you chose connection over criticism, and one moment when you stumbled. For the former, celebrate yourself. For the latter, cultivate compassion. Ask what you can learn and how you will respond differently next time. This brief pause of self-examination transforms slip-ups into stepping stones and cements the habit of appreciation until it courses through your veins like lifeblood. By this point, your life becomes a living case study of Carnegie's first principle in action. Colleagues seek your guidance not out of obligation but from genuine respect. Friends confide in you because they know you will listen without judgment. Family members grow bolder, knowing they have a champion who sees their best self before any misstep. In every sphere, professional, personal, communal, you plant seeds of trust that bloom into forests of collaboration and understanding. And now, as you stand at this precipice of transformation, take a moment to feel the power coalescing within you. The next conversation you enter, the next message you type, the next self-doubt that creeps in all become canvases for your choice. Withhold criticism and offer connection. This is no longer a theory but a lived practice, an ethos that colors every word and deed you create. So go forward with conviction. When the world begs you to judge, respond with empathy. When circumstances pressure you toward complaint, choose curiosity. When your inner critic threatens to undermine your spirit, extend compassion to yourself. In every moment, stop criticizing and start connecting, and watch as your life and the lives you touch unfurl into something more beautiful, more compelling, more real than you ever dared imagine. Feel the current of possibility sweeping through every fiber of your being. You have wielded Carnegie's first principle as both anchor and sail, anchoring yourself in empathy and hoisting the sails of genuine appreciation. Now is the moment to bring this journey full circle, to stand in the light of your own transformation and offer that light to every soul you encounter. As you step forward, remember that true connection is never a destination but a continuous voyage. Each sunrise offers a fresh canvas, a new chance to replace a harsh word with a thoughtful question, to turn a moment of frustration into one of understanding, to bridge the gap between isolation and belonging. Let this rhythm guide you. Criticism withheld, connection extended until it becomes as natural as breathing and as second nature as the beat of your heart. Carry this principle into the most challenging arenas of your life. When confronted with failure, refuse to condemn yourself. Instead, inquire, what lesson lies hidden here? When faced with disagreement, resist the urge to argue. Instead, ask, how can we find the shared ground beneath our views? When tempted to complain about circumstances beyond your control, pause and ask, what steps can I take to influence what I can, and how can I empathize with those whose paths diverge from mine? In each instance, you cultivate a mindset of possibility rather than defeat. Imagine the crescendo that will rise as more voices join this chorus of connection. From small acts of kindness in your daily routine to sweeping gestures of diplomacy on the world stage, the refrain remains the same. Stop criticizing. Start connecting. This simple yet profound shift reshapes every relationship, parent to child, manager to team, neighbor to neighbor, nation to nation. building an unbreakable web of trust that can withstand any storm. And in the stillness of reflection, recognize the ripple effect of your deeds. The gratitude in a colleague's email, the restored confidence in a friend's eyes, the blossoming curiosity in a child's question. All these are the echoes of your choice to lead with compassion. They are living proof that the smallest acts of non-judgment can ignite revolutions of goodwill. So go forth now with unwavering conviction. Let your words be lanterns in the dark corridors of doubt, guiding others toward their own greatness. Let your tone be balm to wounded spirits, reminding every person you meet that they matter, that their struggles are seen, and that their strengths are celebrated. Let your presence be the promise of respect and the embodiment of understanding. This is the legacy you claim, not one of fleeting power won through fear, but one of enduring influence rooted in human dignity. As you close this chapter of reflection and open the next chapter of action, hear Carnegie's voice whisper across the corridors of time. Be hearty in your approbation and lavish in your praise. And so, with hearts untethered by criticism and spirits buoyed by connection, we step boldly into a world remade by the simple, courageous act of seeing and celebrating the very best in one another. Stop criticizing. Start connecting. The world awaits the luminous gift only you can give.